Morning viewers, thank you very much. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting from the Political Command Center in the mobile unit in East Africa. This is Dr. David Matsanga bringing to you Diplomatic Leaks. Diplomatic Leaks seeks to look at the areas where diplomacy, silent and vigorous diplomacy has taken place in the last few weeks. Today's topic, viewers across the continent of Africa and wherever you are in the globe, in Europe, in America, watching us, is regarding Ethiopia. Which way Ethiopia? What can we do to resolve the problems of Ethiopia? How can we bring peace to Ethiopia? A GDP that has been squandered, that has been destroyed by the war that took place, that was ignited by the Tigray and the Ethiopian government, both of them, where we have lost millions of people displaced, hundreds killed, and hunger is striking every time. This war is a great disadvantage for the people of Africa, to the extent that every time Africa wants to unite, every time Africa wants to talk about things that are important, there is a war brought in the middle. Are we on the right track as Africans? Can we, at any time in the moment, try to bring sanity to our politics? Is it the politics that has made Africa look very funny? Is it the politics that has killed Africa? What has destroyed Africa? Is it the bad governance, the bad constitutional, moving from constitutions to violence? Many countries across the continent of Africa are gearing towards elections. And these elections are also a trigger to violence that we see across Africa. Many countries, namely Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, Zimbabwe, most of them in West Africa, violence has come because of elections. Is it the model that we chose, or are they the models that we have chosen in these countries that always bring us the chaos that we see? Thank you very much. This is the show that we want to come and talk about this afternoon, or this morning, sorry. Ethiopia bleeds. And I want to take this opportunity to thank President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta for having actually made efforts, silent efforts, to make sure that the warring parties in Ethiopia at least come to senses, lay down their arms, and start talking and engaging to make sure that Ethiopia remains a united country under one leadership and under the leadership of inclusive leaders of both sides. President Uhuru Kenyatta has taken a silent route to make sure that Africa and East Africa remains united. We laud the Kenyan leader for doing so in efforts to find solutions for the people of Ethiopia. But are the people of Ethiopia on the ground? Is the government ready? What are these external forces that has come into the Ethiopian war? Complicated it, made it difficult, and today as we sit here, we might not be able to harness, get peace out of this country. With me to discuss this from my mobile unit in East Africa is none other than Miriam Ogotu. Good morning, Miriam.
It is afternoon here, so good afternoon to you and good afternoon to our viewers. Good evening, depending on the
Thank you very much. Sorry, because the internet, the network has disturbed so much that we even couldn't go on the other one. I thought it was good morning. Thank you very much, Miriam. You have a few notes on the war in Ethiopia, when it started, how it spread across the whole region, how efforts by Obasanjo, how efforts by United States of America, how efforts by the AU to bring the warring parties on a table. Let's have them, please. Thank you.
All right. This is just the background information, some of the key developments as far as this conflict in Ethiopia is concerned. Now, the highest-ranking United Nations official to visit Ethiopia since war began in Tigray region in 2020 said last Friday she thinks Tigrayan fighters are hopeful of ending the conflict, and she senses that top government officials are not just more hopeful, but making greater effort to find peace. But Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed said the most important thing now is how to put pressure on the momentum for peace and not have it unravel, which it could. It's very fragile. So that is what the United Nations is saying. The official from the United Nations is saying. And during her talks with both sides, she said her message was that with the conflict and the tragedies, horrendous at that no one wins at the peace, and that peace really is indispensable. Months of political tensions between Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's government and the Tigrayan leaders who once dominated Ethiopia's government exploded into war in November 2020. And following some of the fiercest fighting of the conflict, Ethiopia soldiers fled to the Tigrayan capital, Mekelle, in June 2021, and the government declared a national state of emergency with sweeping powers. A drone-assisted government military offensive halted the Tigrayan approach to Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. In December, the Tigrayans retreated back to Tigray. So that is where we are as far as that war is concerned, the conflict.
I agree entirely, Miriam, with Dr. Mohammed, Amina Mohammed of the United Nations, Assistant Secretaries of United Nations, Secretary General of United Nations. You can the amount of atrocities that have been committed in Ethiopia are huge, enormous, and we cannot just keep on saying we are talking. We need to see some people on table. We need to see engagement, a direct link, a direct discussion between the Ethiopian Prime Minister and the President of Tigray, of Breakaway region. So until we see that one physically, all the two people coming together on table, supervised or a conference supervised and overseen by the United Nations or African Union, nobody in the world is going to be convinced that the peace is going to return. Although President Uhuru Kenyatta has done his best, his efforts to show that peace can be achieved, that peace can be got without any problem. Yes, but efforts must be seen. I agree with Dr. Amina Mohammed, UN Assistant Secretary General, that a lot of atrocities were committed by countries like Eritrea, Somalia, the Turkey, that have now actually involved themselves directly in the war. So we need accountability. We are going now to a phase where we shall have an African situation coming up like the South Sudan situation where people are left halfway, that, well, the human rights record cannot be traced. Therefore, let's look for a political solution where politics is fixed, but human rights are not fixed. Miriam.
All right, and perhaps before we proceed further, perhaps the latest from the African Union Special Envoy, we know that was a former president of Nigeria and what he's been doing. So the former Nigerian president, Olusegun Obasanjo, has given a roadmap for ending of the current conflict in Tigray region, which has left thousands of people dead, millions displaced, and other facing starvation due to food shortages. In a document handed over to the African Union Peace and Security Committee, Obasanjo highlighted the recent developments in Ethiopia, including the establishment of the National Dialogue Commission, coupled with the promulgation of the necessary legislation. Moreover, he called for the release of prisoners, the issue of humanitarian access, and the general improvement in goodwill and commitment to dialogue as the only viable approach to address the challenges facing the country with the facilitation of the African Union. So we know that African Union appointed him as the chief mediator in the conflict there in Ethiopia, and he's saying so far there seems to be a bit of progress, although not as per the pace that perhaps we were hoping. And right now they have established a national dialogue commission so that the talks can now start. The warring factions can now come together and find a peaceful resolution in Ethiopia. Daniel Wasonga.
Yes, thank you so much, Miriam. And of course, as people who come from the East African region, we will really, really want to see peace and stability of Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is a very, very integral part of the region. Remember, Ethiopia is the only African country, or maybe the country, the Horn of Africa, which was never colonized due to its stability under Emperor Haile Selassie. And it has been enjoying that, and of course, a bit of maybe instability here and there. But nonetheless, this is a big country. It is in the league of Nigeria and other big African countries like Congo. And therefore, when we have instability, then the tremors and the ripple effect of it actually is felt far and wide in Africa. But the conflict of it in Ethiopia would have been solved if the likes of Olusegun Obasanjo, who went there as election observers, would have given a clear report of whatever is happening in the ground. And it's very unfortunate, Miriam, that we are having the people who are part of the problem actually being perceived as also the problem solvers at this particular moment. I believe the African continent, the leaders and those stakeholders in the peace process in Ethiopia, all have done away with the Olusegun Obasanjo, who gave the shambolic elections in Ethiopia a clean bill of health, and therefore occasioning the kind of crisis that we have right now. So to me, I believe the conflict of Ethiopia can have a very, very better solution if we keep engaging leaders and lobbyists who know where that conflict actually originated from, and who actually are serious about solving this particular conflict. You've seen whatever President Uhuru Kenyatta, in his personal capacity as a president and a friend of Ethiopia, has done to actually bring the talks to where they are between the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front and the government of Ethiopia. And therefore, that shows you that if we can add a little effort and eliminate all these power brokers, people who are there to earn stipends and take bribes from either side, then we can have a green light in having peace actually established and achieved in Ethiopia. So to me, Miriam, I believe it's just a matter of getting the right people, because if we do not have the people who understand the conflict, people who are not keen on maybe addressing the real issues, people who are not maybe who are just there for optics, then we might not see the conflict ending soon. But with the right people, the people who have the interest of Africa and the interest of Ethiopians at heart, then we shall be able to achieve a milestone, Miriam. I submit.
Very well. And in that report by Olusegun Obasanjo to the African Union, there was an appeal that was made to the countries, of course, in the Horn of Africa, to demonstrate commitment towards inclusive dialogue, security, stability, and sustainable peace in the region, and to continue to extend their support, because we know it's not only Ethiopia that has a bit of a turmoil around the region. We do also have other countries that have had long-standing conflicts that we don't know when we'll see the end of it. But they've called on the Ethiopian dialogue to have an inclusive dialogue. And we know Abiy Ahmed has taken a very die-hard position before. Is it likely to just simmer down and allow for dialogue with the rebel group from TPLF?
I don't think he would do it. Miriam, Daniel has raised a number of issues. One of the issues he has raised is, are African countries committed to peace? Obasanjo was one of those who went and confirmed this election and said the elections that were held in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, were credible. And it is from the election time that it sparked. That's why one side is contentious. There's a contentious issue of, you are the one who verified the elections and said they were held under peaceful conditions. But elections without the Tigranian people, then it does not solve the problem at all. So for me, I think, Miriam, the best we can do are African countries surely to commit themselves. For example, look at the South Sudan issue. How many African countries are dilly-dallying on the issue? Some of them have invaded that country. Uganda is part of the nation troops that are in South Sudan. So Ethiopia itself is part of the problem of South Sudan. And when you look at those two, and the neighbors of Ethiopia now, Eritrea, for example, is not committed. Eritrea is not committed to peace. Eritrea is still fighting and entering Ethiopia in Tigray area and killing many Tigrays. Somalia itself. And then we have Turkey, external countries that have come in to actually to give support to the government in Addis Ababa. These are not giving peace a room. These are giving war. The war machinery in Ethiopia is being oiled. And when you oil the war machinery, Miriam, you don't expect peace to come today, tomorrow. It will remain the same. Obasanjo himself, the point that Daniel raised is a point that Africans should look at. Are there younger people, able, energetic, who can run around? If you look at Obasanjo, even when I was listening to his talk in the Security Council, by the way, Miriam, you know, I was one of those permitted because I was given the access to listen to some of these through the virtual. And I listened the presentation of Obasanjo inside the Security Council on the question, Security Council of Africa, on the question of peace was actually timid. The report of Obasanjo, which is leaked, which I have got copies at the moment now, the security report you see here, which I have received, is very disturbing. And if you look at that security, you will find that something is not very good, is not correct. And this is the same type of report that was put on Sudan. Makio, when Sudan was under fire, South Sudan, Obasanjo produced two types of reports. And when you look at this report now, these ones that he has produced, at one stage, Obasanjo is talking of countries to cooperate. But which countries, Miriam, to cooperate? He didn't mention single-handedly, raise the finger in the confidential report that he has submitted. So you tell me, no, surely you people, some of these documents can be got. We have also ways and the means of obtaining them from the African Union, even if they are supposed to be secret. So to me, the point of Ethiopia, it must be discussed, but discussed by pointing fingers at the right people. We have not pointed fingers at who is supplying the people of Ethiopia with arms. We have not pointed fingers as to who is bringing chaos to Ethiopia. We have not pointed fingers at who is the bankrolling the Ethiopian government. We have not pointed the finger. The report is just a mild report. The usual report. Actually, Obasanjo's reporting is equivalent to saying, although there are skirmishes, the situation remains very good in Ethiopia. That's it. So where shall we go from here? Where are the recommendations? People want tough recommendations, sanctions, people to be embargoed, those people who have committed human rights, until we bring a human rights report, a report that says there were about 500,000 Tigrayans killed by Eritreans. We are wasting our time. That's what I think Africa should start doing, other than producing us this type of reports, these ones that end up in a dustbin and they have no solutions. That's my submission. Songa might have something.
Songa, based on the report by the the mediator that was appointed by African Union, former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, is now saying it's important for everybody to come to the table. But we know that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has been accused in the past and has been criticized of refusing to solicit for sustainable processes of ending this conflict. His commitment towards ending this conflict has been questionable. Over 1 year, the war has been ongoing, and we've seen how much that has impacted even the economy of Ethiopia itself. Do you think perhaps this could encourage, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to be open to reaching out and having a conversation with TPLF? I think, yeah, he's been having a bit of a technical hit since morning with his connection. Yeah,
I think, Miriam, the best we can do as we end this show this morning is, one, we must identify where the problem is, obstacles, challenges that the peacemakers or the peace envoys are having. One of the challenges of Ethiopian crisis is the people of the peacemakers. Obasanjo does not know where to begin and where to go, how to go, when to go. Obasanjo is simply, when the Americans come, he's all over them, he's with them, he's sitting with them. And yet, one side of the conflict is not very comfortable with the Americans. You know? When he goes on the side of Tigray, he says something different. So there is something that is not correct, and it is not being handled properly. And I believe President Uhuru Kenyatta, as the chairman of the peace, and now Uganda has joined the Peace Commission or Security Council of Africa, let them sit down and iron out who else can be a mediator in the conflict of Ethiopia. Which way Ethiopia is to get a new mediator who is not biased, a new mediator who does not waffle around, a new mediator who has energy to point out the obstacles, where they are coming from, a new mediator who is able to push the process by being honest. Obasanjo is not honest, and one side has already cast doubts on him. Miriam, we are as good as cooked. That's all I can say.
Okay, and I think that brings us to the end of our show this afternoon. Thank you so much for watching. We apologize for Songa had a bit of a technical hitch, but be sure to catch us back again here in our next bulletin, hopefully tomorrow in the morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga.
No, there is your diplomatic dispatches this afternoon at 3 p.m., which I will take part in to help on issues after you have done the analysis. There are issues that have cropped up in Africa, so we can be on that one this afternoon at 3 p.m. I will now stabilize my network. Thank you.